Something we like to ask like coaches and players when they get like a second opportunity in their career, in their profession. What do you feel like you've learned? How do you feel like you've grown from your first term? And also, what are some things that you look back on? Maybe there's situations where you think I could have done a better job with that.
I think the biggest thing is I got to know a lot of people. So I was elected. If you look at presidents over the United States, over the history of our country, 92% have been politicians and 8% have been generals. So I was told, well, you got to be a general, you got to be a politician. It makes sense, I guess. But I said, but I'm not a general, I'm not a politician. So I won. And I went to number one, when I announced it, because I was very well known as a business guy. People knew me. I've done a great job in business. Did a lot of great jobs, a lot of great deals, made a lot of money. But I was known as a business guy. And I was known for The Apprentice. I did a show called The Apprentice, which was a very successful show. And I had a lot of bestsellers, some real big number one bestsellers, The Art of the Deal and others. So I was known. But I went, and as soon as I ran, I went to number one in the Republican thing and did that and won. And then I went against a woman known as Crooked Hillary. And she is one crooked son. But she was a professional, married to a president, popular president, a good president. And then I ran, and the COVID made things tougher because it was much tougher. But I did phenomenally. Otherwise, I wouldn't have run this time. So I've won 3 Republican nominations in a row. And now we have this final thing. And I think if it happens, it'll be the biggest victory in the history of the country. It's a big thing because I think the country has to have it. We've gone through 4 years of hardship. And they were asking me, fellas, what's the biggest problem? I really, they say inflation and they say the economy and all that. I really think that in terms of the voters, inflation's a very big deal, but in terms of the voters, I think the biggest thing is the border. In terms of the election, I think it's the most important thing. I think women don't want to have migrant killers running around their backyard. It's pretty simple to me.
We interrupt this episode to bring you Fireball. Fireball is the perfect shot for game day, and whether you're buying those sneaky little shooters before going into the stadium or going big with the Fireball keg for your tailgate, whether it's at a pregame shot in the tailgate lot or a celebratory touchdown shot at the bar, no matter what, it is guaranteed to ignite your game day. Fireball's iconic cinnamon flavors taste fire and go down easy, make it the ultimate crowd pleaser. That's why it's the number one shot in the U.S. By the way, Oregon understood the assignment. Fireball brings tailgates together. We were at Oregon over the weekend, and we were doing socials. We were doing everything. Fireball is here to give you the spark to ignite that rivalry season all season long. Grab your football buddy, buy a round, and reignite that rivalry flame. Shout out to Fireball. Back to this episode.
Yeah, people obviously want to feel safe in their backyards. You mentioned all the amount of success you've had, whether in real estate, your best-selling books, The Apprentice, the show that was top of the charts for a very long time. What was, and then there was an interview you did with Oprah, I believe it was, whether it was 89 or 90, she asked you, would you ever run for president? And you said, essentially, no, I wouldn't, because it's a mean and nasty world, and I would only do that if it was in extreme circumstances. Obviously, you end up running, you've won 3 Republican nominees. What was the straw that broke the camel's back for you to be like, I've really got to put my name in the hat for America?
2 things. Trade, because as a businessman, I think I'm a very natural businessman. Like you guys are natural athletes. You're always the best at your sport, and you did well. In high school, you guys were dominant, right? And even in college, you were dominant. There was nobody.
You could say that.
You take a player at your level. In high school, you're on a different level. You're just much better. You're much, much better. Okay. You could run right through that line. Guys wouldn't even, right?
All state.
I understand. I know how it works. And then it gets tougher and tougher as you go up, right?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they get bigger and faster. And you say, this is
the ultimate equalizer.
You said, let me go back to high school.
Yeah.
But no, you were always dominant in what you did. And I was a good businessman. And I'm an athlete too. I was always good at sports. I was always really good golfer, good baseball player, good everything. I love sports. I always loved sports. And it's sort of a microcosm of life, okay? It's the great athletes have something very special. And it's true like that in life. You have people, some people win, some people don't win. It's very interesting. But I always looked at sports as a microcosm. And the nice part, it's fast. You win or you lose.
Right.
With other things like what I do, it takes years to determine is somebody a winner or not. And it takes a long time. With sports, you win the game or you don't. And it's very interesting. But I really have always equated it very much with life, what you do as an athlete, very much. And maybe it's why your show's successful, actually. People see it. And then you have people that like watching athletes on television, because I do. I do.
No doubt about it.
On Andrew Schultz's podcast, you guys were talking about the art of the weave, weaving in and out out of questions and conversations. What was the straw that broke the camel's back that got you in the game for politics?
Okay, so
you were talking about trade.
Two things. I think trade, and I think the border. The border was real bad, but nothing like this. The border was, by the way, like 10% of this, and nothing like this. There's never been a border in history, in the history of our country. There's never been a border like this. And trade, because I saw China and I saw other countries just ripping us off so badly. We have these massive deficits. We're not going to have them that long because I'm going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around. They've taken advantage of us, and oftentimes it's our friends that took the biggest advantage, which is true in life too. But I would say those two things. I would look at the trade and I'd see these deals that were so bad. And it actually started a long time ago with Japan. Japan, before you guys were born, Japan was brutal to us in trade. And then they had a little explosion and they went away. They had a real problem economically, and all of a sudden they were gone. And then other countries came in, but China came in a big way, and to this day. And I had them pay billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs. They call them tariffs. And we did a good job. We had the greatest economy in history. We had the greatest we had the greatest job numbers in history. We had the most jobs. And whether you were a high school student that didn't graduate, no diploma, or you went to MIT, Harvard, the Wharton School of Finance, Stanford, no matter what school you went to, and no matter what degree you did well, including if you didn't have a degree, if you were a woman, if you were a man, if you were black or Asian or Hispanic, every single group was doing better than they had ever done. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're going to do it again. But I think, again, as I say, I really believe it's going to be the most important election in the history of the country. This will be the most important election because we're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in decline. It's a very serious decline, and it's got to be fixed. And if it's not fixed, we're not going to have this country any longer.